So what you're about to witness is session 2 of our relationship to self piece of the Regeneration project that we're doing. I talk with Anthea Balfour, who's an amazing friend and also an incredible somatic psychotherapist, and she's going to take me through a process of reconnecting to myself. It may be triggering for some people, so if you do have any sort of mental health issues or feel uncomfortable with those sorts of conversations, then please use your discernment as to whether or not you want to go ahead and watch this video. But Anthea is an incredible therapist, and she really guides me and also you through the process, so that you can get as much value from it as possible. So yeah, please enjoy. And I mean, obviously this was like really vulnerable for me to post, but we really feel like this is so important to be able to share this work, because it is normal. Like, everyone has things in their past that has happened, whether they've had a wonderful life or a not so wonderful life. Everyone has some sort of trauma, so it's all about reconnecting to yourself and those parts of yourself that you may have lost along the way.
So hi guys, and thank you for joining Paula and I as we go through her regeneration journey and connecting back to self as part of the project. And last session we spoke to Paula, and we got you to really drop into your body and feel your feelings, essentially. And I just really wanted to talk to you today about what's happening for you now.
Right now? Well, I think since last week, and drawing awareness to the fact that I guess how I have not been in my body was I guess I didn't really realize the extent of it, and so now it's like the elephant in the room that's there all the time, that it's just it's just it's just so obvious to me now, and it's almost like a frustration. Because it's like, oh, okay, no, I need to be in my body, and that feeling is really uncomfortable.
And when you're talking about uncomfortable, like, how does that show up for you? The uncomfortability of actually being present in your body. How does that show up for you in terms of frustration?
Yeah, like I feel extra fidgety. I want to keep moving. Like, I feel like, it's staying still is just making things worse. I guess just agitation.
And so when you say staying still is making things worse, what are you actually speaking to?
Well, I feel like my mind just wants something to cling on to. So it's constantly searching, and by me sitting still and just being, it's like I have this like really naughty child in my head that just wants to just move and keep distracting me from just being.
Let's take a deep breath. So what Paula is speaking to in this moment, as she's saying it's making things worse, is that need to distract ourselves when we're present and we're feeling our feelings, but we're not used to that. Now that the silence has become more apparent and the stillness in the body becomes more apparent, our mind has to work overtime to keep us on track. And this is the kind of making things worse that Paula is talking to, that suddenly her mind has become actually busier than she would normally have noticed, because she's now very much aware of that stillness in her body. Yeah, does that resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was saying to you before, when I'm lying in bed at night, it's like those voices in my head are so much louder as they usually are. Like, it's almost overbearing. Yeah.
Let's take another deep breath. So we'll find that when we do get agitated or fidgety, we talk a lot, and that's another consequence of really distracting ourselves, distracting us away from our body. Language is one of our first mental educational processes that we use to distract ourselves. Language is a distraction mechanism. With those of us that talk too much when we get nervous, it's a distraction mechanism of removing ourselves from the feeling of what it actually feels to be anxious in our body. So I'm always going to ask you to come back to your breath, because it brings us back into the body and it allows us to feel. So what's present for you right now?
Not there yet.
And what's that experience? What's happening for you there?
I keep on dissociating. Yeah.
And so it's amazing that you can recognize the fact that you are dissociating, whereas before you haven't been able to. So Paula now understands when she's actually present in the here now moment, and when her mind has taken her off somewhere else. So what happened there for you?
Right then? I guess I could feel myself dropping in a little bit more. Yeah.
So when we are feeling ourselves dropping into our body, so Paula's shoulders moved as her body actually became present to itself. So our body is always noticing, we're always noticing ourselves, we're always feeling ourselves. It's whether we're bringing conscious awareness to that or not. And so as Paula's body's actually recognizing and witnessing it's yourself, your body's going to respond. So Paula holds her self-intention in her jaw a lot, so you're going to open that, and her shoulders, and you're going to drop your shoulders. And so we can see Paula's face is going a little bit red because she's actually feeling her emotions in her body. Beautiful. And keep breathing. And what's present for you now?
Nothing particular, just I guess an energy. Like I feel like there's I can sense there's just a whole lot of energy that's like wanting to be released.
Yeah, beautiful. Feel that, and let's hear Paula's language now. She's now feeling and sensing rather than thinking. Before Paula was thinking, she said, I think, I don't know, in her mind. And so when I'm listening to Paula speaking and expressing herself, I'm either listening to I think statements, which is I'm in my head, or I'm feeling, I'm seeing, I'm sensing, which is I'm in my body. And can you describe to me that energy that you're speaking to?
It feels like a cold burning sensation. Like here. It feels a little bit like sadness.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah,
so you said it feels a little bit like sadness, and there was a question mark in your tone, right?
Yeah.
And so when we do that, when we are expressing something that is actually true for us, because it does feel a little bit like sadness, but if our mind is being the gatekeeper to our emotions, essentially our mind is the gatekeeper that says this can come in or this can stay out, we'll still have that element of self-doubt where we're not sure if what we're feeling is what we're feeling. And so I'd love for you to say that statement again, but to actually affirm that to yourself.
It feels like sadness.
And so Paula swallowed there because she felt the sadness and the truth in her body, that's the truth, that she's feeling sad. And you get to feel that now. And do you want to share what that sadness is for you?
it feels like a part of my child that wasn't able to be expressed. It feels like there's just a part of me that's just been like almost pushed to the side, and it feels like sad because it's been so rejected, like it's in like this dark space, and yeah, like just yeah, it's like that part of me is just like in a dark hole, like just crying in the corner.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and acknowledging that. And these hidden parts of ourselves are so natural. It's so natural. We all have these areas in our psyche, and what Paula's referring to is the subconscious mind experience. What's actually deep within her everyday experience is this rejected child. And you're now speaking to childhood experiences ultimately where who Paula was most comfortable being, maybe it was the naughty child, maybe it was the rebel child, maybe it was just however you chose to express yourself in that moment was rejected, either by mum, dad, sisters, friends, peers at school. But that becomes an anchor in our subconscious that tells us it's not okay for me to be me. Yeah. Does that resonate with you, Mala?
Yeah. There is definitely that guilt though associated with that. Like it's even you just saying those words, it makes me feel like I'm blaming, and I just don't want to. Because at the end of the day, it's my responsibility to take ownership of that, and it's like. Yeah, I guess I have a lot of compassion for those people that did that unknowingly because they didn't recognise that in themselves, I guess.
Yeah. And again, like what Paul is demonstrating here, because Paul has been on the personal development journey for quite some time, and we can become really self-aware, and we're able to forgive people and understand where they're coming from, which is completely valid, but also at times it means we actually we bypass over the original issue. So whether it's that you feeling that you were rejected, it means you don't get to actually take hold of the feeling of rejection, right? And looking at the feeling of rejection doesn't take away from the fact that you understand that they didn't mean to do that, that you forgive them. You're still allowed to be present with your experience. And that's what we do, especially when we have agreeable personality types, is we can quite comfortably say they didn't mean that, I don't blame them, I understand where they're coming from, but it means that we don't actually get to experience the feeling of like, wow, that this thing happened to me. Wow, I felt this way in this experience, because we're actually moving our focus from self to the other. And so what I'd really love for you to do is just really feel into that feeling of rejection. And so Paula's body's going to feel like it wants to twitch and fidget, as her mind is going to be like, oh, we're used to not feeling this feeling and everything's fine. So we're just going to let Paula's body know that you're so safe to feel the feeling of rejection. You're so safe to feel the little girl in the dark corner that doesn't feel accepted. And so Paula's breathing is going to increase and her body's going to get warmer, because ultimately she's going to go into a hyper-arousal state, or the fight or flight response. And if your body feels like it wants to twitch or move, that's so normal. Just allow it to do what it needs to do. And when we twitch or fidget, it's actually the body's way of getting rid of stagnant energy. When we feel frightened or stressed, we tend to contract. So keep going, sweetie. I've got you. And just feel that rejection. And I want you to relax your jaw. And I just want you to shake that shoulder a little bit. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And what we're going through here is just what's known as a felt senses process of allowing Paula to really connect to her emotional body and what that's actually doing in relation to her physiology. So we can see here as Paula's really feeling what rejection actually does to her body and her relationship to her physical experience. So it's actually very paralyzing, the feeling of rejection. And in all those spaces of contraction, sweetie, I want you to take a deep breath in, notice the spaces of tension and contraction, and exhale and release it. Yeah. Yeah, and keep bringing your awareness to the little girl feeling rejected in the corner. And just know that it's so safe to feel her in that space.
Like I can't breathe.
That's okay, keep feeling. And I've got you. I've got you. And so the body's going to feel like I shouldn't make a noise, I mustn't be scared, and just know that it's completely safe for you to do that. And my hand is right here if you need that. And your body's going to feel like it needs to shudder or shake, and that's okay. Keep feeling, and keep bringing your awareness to the little girl. Keep feeling. So what's present right now for Paula is a past experience that she wasn't able to express, a past emotion that is becoming in the present. Allow yourself around, keep feeling, and allow yourself to make the noise that you need to make. Keep feeling. And allow yourself to make the noise that you need to make. We're going to keep breathing. Beautiful, sweetheart. Beautiful. Keep feeling. And the energy will remove itself from Paula's body when it's ready. And we will know that, and she will know that. Beautiful, my love. Keep going. Keep going. And I just want you to move that shoulder forward. Beautiful. Beautiful. Keep feeling. And I want you to tell me, how is your little girl feeling right now?
She's standing up.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's feel that. Let's feel that. She was in the corner and now she's standing up. Let's feel that. Keep feeling.
It sounds so silly, but like I feel like she's like standing next to us, like holding our hand as well.
Beautiful. And this is the process of reparenting. As adults, we have experienced trauma, and trauma can simply mean an unexpected event that we didn't get the opportunity to reconcile, we have to go back and reprogram our subconscious to understand and reconcile that experience. So as Paula's body is now understood that she's completely safe to feel this experience of rejection, that her child is in fact safe and protected by her in this moment, she can feel safe to feel it. Now I'm going to open that hand for me, my love. Yeah, beautiful. And how does your little girl feel right now?
She feels like someone's taken notice. Like,
yeah,
she feels seen. She's like, finally, you know, hello.
Right, and let's
I've been
hear
standing here for ages.
Yeah, and let's hear in Paula's voice right now just the confidence to speak up and open. We spoke to, or you mentioned something to me the other day about how you felt that when you're upset or you're feeling a certain way, you feel like it's you feel like people think that you're looking for attention, right? And so this is our shadow self playing with us essentially, because ultimately your little girl, your subconscious, you are looking for attention. You do want to be noticed. Completely valid, right? If we're feeling rejected, that is exactly what we want to experience. And as we grow up and we're told, like, you're not supposed to look for attention, you shouldn't, all the stories that we get told. So this deep, inherent and natural and valid need to be seen and to be given attention becomes repressed. And so we feel our little rejected girl in the corner. And what we've just experienced, Paula, is you actually witnessing yourself. It becomes intrinsic. We're talking about intrinsic validation and intrinsic reward. Paula just became witness to her own child, and that gave the same sense of relief, right? When we're looking outside, we're waiting for our husband or our parent or our sister or our friend to see us, to notice us, to witness us, to validate our experience or our feelings. And that may never happen. So when we allow ourselves to actually go and feel what's present for us and be a witness to that, it's the same sense of validation, except it's internal. We have created that reward response, so dopamine and oxytocin, within ourselves. And so we can then create that within ourselves at any time, and we're not reliant on outside validation. Does that make sense, Nicole?
Yeah.
That's present for you right now.
I really work in pictures in my head. I don't know, I feel like I've just like welcomed that part of me here.
Yeah.
And like I can feel my like body wants to relax more, like my legs.
Yeah.
I feel like it's, I don't know, it's like this weird sort of like, it's like, because I'm constantly holding on all the time. It's like, oh, like you can release that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Let's take another deep breath in. And we're going to shake our body out. Beautiful. Yeah, because we tend to hold, and in somatics we call this holding patterns, where we are used to holding our body in a certain contracted state to the point where it becomes fearful for us to actually let go. And this process is actually reprogramming that fear response so that we feel safe to let go. And as Paula described, she actually feels safer now in relaxing your thighs and your shoulders. And I know you're relaxing your jaw now because your voice is much louder.
It was really weird through that process. Like my throat was like so, like, it's like I couldn't breathe. Like it was so closed over. And then now it's fine.
Yeah. And this is just a simple process. Like, the room's gotten so much warmer than when we started. And this is just a simple process of releasing energy. But through the use of felt senses and language, we're also changing physiology in this process. So we're going to welcome Paula's rejected little girl into the space and thank her for showing up and letting her know how much she's loved and how much she's seen. And this is really about giving ourselves permission to acknowledge every part of ourselves, that part of ourselves that actually does want attention, and it's okay to want attention, and it's okay to be seen, you know. It's welcoming all these dark parts of ourselves, or what we might call dark parts of ourselves, but are in fact simply aspects of our childhood or our traumatic experiences that we've popped in a corner somewhere that we haven't given time or presence to. And when we actually welcome these parts of ourselves in, this is when we can show up in wholeness. I love your rejected little girl.
Me too.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Paula. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You magician.
Guys, thank you, Paula, and thank you for joining us. It's such a pleasure and a privilege to be able to share this journey with you, Paula, and deeply grateful that you're allowing us to open the doors onto a part of our life that we don't get to witness in other people. And I think it's so important that we do get to witness that to some degree or another, to know that we are all one, and we are all going through some form of this experience in our own way. So you're doing such an amazing service to all the women out there that has a rejected little girl and needs permission to claim her. So guys, until next session, thank you so much for joining us, and be blessed, and we love you.